Welcome back to the Training Model Podcast, number 2 in your hearts, but number 1 in the charts. Thanks for all the support on the podcast these last few episodes. I've had a bunch of comments, plenty of DMs as my phone goes off. Plenty of DMs, people reaching out saying they're enjoying it. They're loving the technical chat, but they want potentially some YouTube videos as well, which definitely will come. I have a tendency, though, to just go all or nothing, do everything all at once, and then just completely burn myself out. And I don't want to create that cycle again, especially in this probably first 6 months of really pushing the education business and training model in general. So the YouTube videos, they're on my list, but they're not going to be a priority for me, probably for the first half of the year. So the YouTube channel will just be the podcast and little snippets and shorts and stuff from social content, because I don't want to put too much on my plate and then ultimately just let myself down because I'm trying to do everything all at once, which is probably a good chat to have related to just social media. Oh, I became the pizza. We're definitely going to be chatting about the pizza as well towards the end of the podcast. But I wanted to chat a little bit about social media just in general, because my strategy currently is just to post regularly, and you may be seeing a lot of posts from me. I'm trying to just try a whole bunch of different strategies on Instagram currently to see what obviously responds the best in terms of engagement and people commenting and all of that sort of stuff. ManyChat is definitely helping engagement. I've noticed that. I don't think it's helped with any sales so far. I've had a few people come into the Movement Mentorship, which kicks off next week with the pre-learning content. So if you are keen to jump in this intake 5, the pre-learning stuff opens up next Monday the 9th of Feb. So if you are keen, first link down below will be the Movement Mentorship. But my strategy currently on social media is simply just to blast content and find things that seem to resonate with engagement and people comment and share. I'm getting a lot of shares and saves, which is cool. And from that, I think I'm going to start to then dial in on specific sort of topics and ideas. But currently, and probably for the next 3 months, it's just going to be posting 10 times a week. That's the threshold that I've set for myself. 10 posts per week. So there's multiple days where I'm posting twice a day. Just trying to build some momentum and build some engagement, because my page was pretty dead there from last year, just pulling completely off. So if you have been enjoying the content, I appreciate you checking it out and following along. And for those that have shared it around, thank you. I appreciate that. All those little bits of support help me stay motivated on the journey. But I'm very happy with how the first month went, January, for my new strategy and just the growth in the page in general. I've always known that these ideas can help a lot of people. And obviously I've had some good success with my mentorships and courses and products and stuff that I have done online over the years. But I know that there's significantly a bigger impact that I can be having with my ideas and how I communicate them. So that is the social media strategy. One of the main topics that I've chatted about this week that I think is worth having a little bit more context, and that's what this podcast is for, having a little bit more context on, is this idea of shifting back and shifting center of mass back. So most people, most clients, just in general, will have an extension bias strategy that they will use, especially when they're under fatigue and in highly stressed environments. So in the gym, learning movements, pushing strength training, pushing hypertrophy, pushing those outcomes, it definitely biases the human system towards an extension strategy, which is ultimately, the extension is actually the symptom of a center of mass that is moving forward in space. I want you to move back to the principal idea, which is that it's center of mass management before we start to layer on these ideas around specific things happening, specific muscles. And this all comes down to that skeleton first idea, which is ultimately that the skeleton is in position because of the center of mass and gravity, before anything else is layered on top of it. And that's where that skeleton first, bone first sort of idea or model framework comes from when discussing movement, is that the skeleton is moving to position because of the mass management as a response to gravity. So most clients under high stressful environments or high stress, high fatigue will bias these extension strategies. And what that looks like is going to be an extension of the trunk, an anterior tilt, a forward foot pressure, so a bias towards the midfoot, forefoot, probably forefoot, even toes, maybe losing heel pressure, maybe losing outside of their foot pressure. Overpronation could be a symptom of, I hate the word overpronation, let me correct myself there, but a pronated foot is the symptom of a forward transitioned mass, because you've rolled through the midfoot and gone towards the IR space. So that would be your pronation, that would be your dorsiflexion, potentially limited ankle range of motion in dorsiflexion, which everyone thinks of when they think of ankle range of motion, would be another symptom of this forward center of mass, this extension bias. A rib cage forward, a rib cage flare would be another symptom. A scapula that gets pulled back in space, the arm moving towards an internal rotation bias would be another symptom of this forward center of mass. And all of those symptoms of this forward center of mass are more than likely going to be the strategies that your clients start to adopt when they undertake strength training and start to push high volumes, high stressful, high intensity sort of expressions of strength training. What that will look like is it will look like a limitation in their ability to flex their hip. They can't squat deep because they've eaten up, they've chewed up some of that hip flexion, hip internal rotation space by nature of anteriorly tilting the pelvis. It's going to look like a rib cage that is forward in space, which doesn't allow the arm to move forward in space around and to protract and upwardly rotate and posteriorly tilt in the opposite direction. To externally rotate the arm would be limited by this forward center of mass strategy, which again is a common sort of mobility restriction that clients will have. The most common ones are going to be ankle dorsiflexion, which is the tibia's forward in space. We've eaten up dorsiflexion space. It's going to be hip flexion, because we've eaten up that space by an anterior tilt, which is the same relative motion as a hip flexion. The femur moving up in space is the same as the pelvis rolling forward in space. And both of those are going to chew up your hip flexion range. Both of those are going to chew up your internal rotation range as well. Inability to get the scapula to deliver the arm forward and upwards in space, so protraction, so bringing the rib cage back, but then also shoulder flexion, getting the arm up overhead and expressing true external rotation. They're going to be the most common limitations that your clients are more than likely facing in the gym. And I made a post that kind of alluded to the fact that a lot of the mobility stuff that everybody does is trying to manage those symptoms. It's just symptom management. You go and try to improve hip internal rotation, but you never actually fix the root cause, which is that the client's strategy is pushing their mass forward. And if you just fixed the root cause, which is teaching them to shift their mass backwards, you would have such a better outcome from all of your training, but you probably don't even need the mobility stuff in the first place, because you simply just have to improve their ability to stay balanced, to coordinate this shifted back strategy, this pulling back of the center of mass. And if you wanted to, I had one of my new mentoring clients, Jack, if you listen to this, shouts out, but he asked a question as to why I allude to the fact that you don't need to strengthen a particular muscle. And he was like, even though you're teaching clients to shift back and that is ultimately going to be ab work, why do you not say that you need to strengthen your abs? And I think that the narrative and the terminology matters a lot when, especially when you're communicating these ideas to clients, is because your mass isn't forward because your abs are weak. Your mass isn't forward because your hamstrings are long. Your mass isn't forward because your hip flexors are tight. All of those muscular symptoms are simply just the response to the mass being forward. And strengthening your abs in isolation, shortening your hamstrings in isolation, feeding hip internal rotation in isolation is not the answer to fixing all of these problems. The answer is actually to teach your client to shift backwards in space. And by doing that, yes, you will strengthen your abs, you will strengthen your hamstrings, you will open up hip flexors tension, you will protract the scap and strengthen serratus anterior. Yes, you will do all of those things. But if the narrative that you use to describe the training outcome to your clients is that this is weak, this is tight, this is long, all of that stuff is nocibic. All of that stuff comes along with the baggage that the client potentially believes that they are in some way not doing things correctly, in some way have weakness or tightness or instability that might hold them back from other pursuits and other goals. And your language matters a lot. So when I communicate and what I educate in the mentorship is when you're communicating these ideas to clients, it's actually got nothing to do with the strengthening of X, Y, and Z, the strengthening of abs, the strengthening of serratus, the strengthening of traps, or any of that sort of stuff. We're simply just learning new strategies to move. That is it. That is all you need to tell clients is, hey, I noticed that when you squat, you like to push forward and extend yourself in space. I'm just going to teach you a new way that I think will be better for your performance. That's all it is, because strength training and what most people undertake with their coaching is simply just teaching clients and new ways to move. That's all it is. New ways to load certain muscle groups, new ways to brace, new ways to do whatever it is specific to their goals. It's actually got nothing to do with the isolated strength or isolated sort of potential of one of the muscles within the chain. It's a systemic expression, and this is why that bone first, that skeleton first sort of vantage for understanding human movement and expressing and coaching human movement, I believe, is so much more valuable for your clients, because it just takes you out of this zoomed in fucking approach to blaming specific muscles, blaming specific tightnesses, weaknesses, stabilities, and all of that sort of stuff, where all of that stuff is an expression, it's a symptom of the base thing, which is just how we are managing our mass at a systemic level. And that is the most important thing. So that's why I don't think the terminology needs to be you need to strengthen your abs or you need to strengthen your obliques. It's not that. It's you need to learn a new system, a new strategy to develop and build from that. That's what we need to develop. It's got nothing to do with an isolated muscle. But the other part to that conversation with these shifting back strategies, because I just made a post before and I had someone in my DMs asking me about the setup for one of my exercises, which is a seated hamstring curl with a reach. So the reach is your upper back rounding, your elbows coming forward in space, hopefully not an elevation of your scaps, more of a sweeping underneath of your armpits is the feeling that we're looking for. So that's the reach position. I generally recommend clients hold the handles in front of them or reach forward to the sort of machine in front of them with one of their arms or both of their arms, and then undertaking your hamstring curls in that position. That reach allows us to drive the rib cage back, which hopefully brings some abs into the play, which will more than likely tuck your pelvis a little bit in towards a posterior tilt. It might not be posteriorly tilted, but it's definitely not anteriorly tilted. That reach position, if you can hold that shape and actually execute your hamstring curls there, you will more than likely feel a completely different hamstring tension than you've ever felt before. Because most people, because of this extension, this forward center of mass sort of strategy that they use for loading the hips and loading sort of the hamstrings, more often than not, it's more of a stretched based sort of tension that the hamstrings feel when they are trained. A lot of it is an anterior tilt, a lot of it extension, RDLs, good mornings, those sort of movements, 45-degree back extensions with the hip, more of your hamstring bias, so less of the tuck, less of the rounding of like a glute squeeze bias. All of those strategies, the traditional ways people train their hamstrings, are going to be more of these extension bias strategies, which is just more length in the hamstring, which is a lengthened stretching tension feeling that clients will feel. If you execute this shifted back, so this seated hamstring curl with a reach, what you'll actually start to feel is your hamstrings in more of a mid-range tension. It's more of an active tension. It's less of a stretch and more of the squeezing tension of the hamstrings. And a lot of people are incredibly weak there because the hamstrings have actually never been loaded in that strategy before. They've always been loaded in the stretch strategy for that forward center of mass strategy. So teaching clients to shift back and to feel those hamstrings can be a really beneficial way for them to get a better understanding of that new shape that we're developing, which can be really helpful. And the second part to that is this reach back, this reaching of the forward, this bringing back of your center of mass in space. One of the things that you need to look out for when you're helping clients with this is minimizing the flexion of the trunk. So a lot of the times when people learn these ideas is they think that, well, forward mass is extension. So when you drive mass forward, you extend the trunk, which is true. So in that case, what I'm trying to do when I shift my mass back is I'm trying to flex the trunk. And it kind of looks like the cue I use is the client will lose height, or you will lose height as you flex back. Your head and your chest will all drop down and really compress on the front side, which is actually, it is a strategy to move backwards in space, flexion, but it's not what we're trying to encourage when we teach these shifted back postures. What we're actually trying to encourage is internal rotation of the rib cage so that the false ribs, the lower rib cage, gets pulled down in space and internally rotates. It's going to be a very oblique dominant ab tension. And we're actually looking for the rib cage and the pelvis to move backwards in space, not flex down in space. They are two different strategies to shift back. One is flexion and one is a shift back. If you take people too far back, eventually they will start to flex, which is not what we're looking for. We're actually just looking for a very subtle shift back, enough so that the obliques can find tension and pull the rib cage down and internally rotate those false ribs. That's where all the exhale focused cueing from like PRI drills, breathing drills comes from. You'll also notice with all of your breathing drills that everybody speaks about, they're very often, 99 times out of 100, they are flexion biased drills because they leverage the diaphragm a little bit more, but they're all going to be like hunched over, quadruped, rock back, 90-90s with a tuck. Like all of those cueing strategies are simply just to get you to find more oblique tension and pull the rib cage back in space to internally rotate those ribs on the exhale. That is what we're trying to create. We are not trying to create this flexed, hunched position when we teach and coach these shifted back strategies. So the easiest way to look for is the height of the person. If they reach their rib cage back and reach their arms forward, push their rib cage back and reach their arms forward, but that has come for the ride with they're losing height, they're dropping down in space, they've gone too far. And it's more likely going to be like a rectus strategy, an anterior ab strategy that's just pulling the sternum down in space, which is not what we want. We want a closure of the ribs. We want to pull the rib cage back and internally rotate the ribs. Two different strategies. So that's just a couple of notes or thoughts from recent conversations that I've had with clients. And Jack, one of the new one-on-one mentoring guys, who's also going through the model outlines that are in the applied mentorship, which has been awesome. But I'm having a lot more conversations and the content is starting to roll, which is good. So keep engaging, keep asking questions. I'm here to help however you need it. And I do thank you for supporting the content so far. If you haven't been and you're just one of those lurkers, get in there, make a comment, help me out. It feeds me. But yeah, if you are interested in learning this stuff, these are the conversations that happen in the movement mentorship. Again, it's the first link down below. We kick off next week with the pre-learning, which is all principle-based ideas, just to get your feet a bit wet in some of the terminology and stuff before the live calls start. All of that starts on Monday. You got 2 weeks of pre-learning content to dive into before the first call, which I think is it's the following Tuesday. So it's 2 weeks of pre-learning, and then that Tuesday is the first call. So I think it's like the 24th of Feb or something like that. So if you are keen to dive in with me for the Movement Mentorship, it's the first link down below. The price, I can guarantee, will never be this cheap again. So if you are keen to jump in and dive in, I would love to see you there. The next thing I wanted to chat about, which needs to be spoken about, is this fucking pizza review that I did. So part of my strategy for social media is to post 10 times per week. So 10 standalone posts, not story posts or any of that sort of stuff, 10 posts. So 1 a day, with 3 of those days being 2 a days. Just to build some momentum and to grow some engagement with the page. And I got to Friday night, and I'd post, I think I posted 8 times to Friday or something like that. And I went and got my pizza, because we normally get like a takeout on a Friday night, and Laura loves this pizza shop too. So I went and got this pizza from Bill and Ali's, and it was fucking unbelievable. Every time I go there, I'm just like, holy shit, this pizza is fucking awesome. And I just sat on it for like 24 hours. And Saturday, I played golf in the morning, and I didn't make my post. And I just put P to bed, and I was like, fuck, I've got to make this post. You know what? I'll just have some fun. I'll do the pizza review. So I just put P to bed. I was like, Laura, I'm just going to go do the pizza review. Did the pizza review. Was doing some other shit around the house. Didn't look at my phone for a couple of hours. And I had 20,000 views. I was like, holy shit, this thing's going hard. But more than just the views, it had so many likes, so many fucking shares, saves, and I was just getting followers by the minute, like multiple followers by the minute. I was like, what the fuck's going on with this? Went to bed, woke up on Sunday morning, and it was at 70,000 views, and then it just went berserk. It was getting like 10,000 views every 30 minutes, like just fucking flying. Obviously, the algorithm had picked it up and just threw it out there. To the point where it got like 200,000 views by the end of the day. And I've had viral content before, like anyone that followed Strength Culture and the podcast specifically, like we'd had posts on Instagram get like 500,000, 600,000 plays. We'd had multiple videos on TikTok get millions of views. TikTok's a bit easier when it gets caught in the algorithm to just really ramp up the views. But I've never felt this much engagement from a post before. Like the amount of likes, the amount of comments, the amount of sends and saves and all of that. Like it currently has like nearly 8,000 shares. Not just likes, like shares. Like it has gone fucking berserk. And I think the reason is because of the hook, which is that I'm autistic about pizzas, which was just the thing I said at the start. I think it's that followed up by the very quick change to the spreadsheet, because I have a pizza spreadsheet. If anyone knows Barstool Sports or Dave Portnoy, and more specifically, he does pizza reviews on YouTube. I think it's just called One Bite Pizza Reviews. Got multiple million subs and hundreds of thousands of plays, and he's literally changed businesses based off these reviews, positively and negatively. But he's got a system for scoring pizzas, which is basically like 5 and below, terrible, you're never going again. Your 6s are just pretty shit, like they're just stock standard pizzas. 7's a good local spot. So anything from a 7-1 to a 7-9 is a good local spot. Like if that was your weekly pizza spot, you'd be happy. Like that's a great local pizza spot. An 8-1 to an 8-9 is worth traveling for. So it's better than a local spot, because you might be like, you know what, Friday, let's go and get that pizza that's fucking 30 minutes away. And then anything above a 9 is like, fucking stop what you're doing and get to this place. Like if you're traveling to the city, like that's the spot you're going to. Like it's a fucking hotbed. Like it's a destination place. And there's no 10s. I think the highest score he's ever given is like a 9.4, maybe a 9.5. But for me, that is this pizza. This Bill and Ali's pizza is fucking unbelievable. And it's the top of my list. So I made a spreadsheet because I'm autistic. And all it is the name of the pizza spot, the location of it, the name, the pizza that I got, the score that it got, and then like one sentence from when I ate it and the first thing I thought. So each review, I've got like, I think there's like 70 reviews in there. Everyone was asking me for the spreadsheet. No one's getting the fucking spreadsheet. I'm sorry. But I think that hook with the fucking I'm autistic about pizzas, here's my spreadsheet, just for whatever reason got traction to the point where the pizza shop sold out at 5:30 p.m. that Sunday night. They said that they've had viral posts before and reviews go pop off before, but had never felt this much traction. They sold out at 5:30 p.m. Mind you, they open at 4 o'clock. They had to knock back over 100 people in person. They had a line around the door. People were waiting multiple hours for their pizzas because they've only got one oven. It's wood fired. You can only put so many in there at once. The oven has to maintain its heat. They had to knock back customers. They couldn't serve their regulars. Like mayhem down there. And then the guy, Bill, there's two siblings. I think they're twins, Bill and Ellie. He called me. He ended up calling me and was like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Man, He's like, "Are you a food blogger? Like, is this what you do?" I was like, "No, man, I've never reviewed food in my life." Like he's like, "Oh, so what's this spreadsheet? Do you share it with your friends?" And I'm like, "Nah, man, I just have a spreadsheet because I just like to do that stuff. It's something that I enjoy doing. I like trying different pizzas and sussing them out." He was like, "Oh, maybe you should start a series and lean into this." And then he offered me next time I go in there, give him a call. They're going to give me some free stuff, which is unbelievable. And they're a small business, which I love that. But it's gone fucking berserk. I can't tell you how crazy that post has been. I've had, so if anyone knows Gilson in Richmond, I think it's Richmond, pretty high quality restaurant here in Australia or in Melbourne. The owner of that reached out to me and was like, "Hey man, love the review. Not sure if I've reviewed their pizza. They had an 8.6. I think it was 8.4. Sorry, unbelievable pizza, unbelievable restaurant in general." But he messaged me. He was like, "Man, next time you're in, let me know. Fucking blah blah blah." I reckon I've had 30 pizza restaurants reach out and be like, "Can you come and review our spot? We'd love to have you down." I've got a lot of people on the western suburbs telling me that my list is shit because it's southeasterly dominated. How about you go fuck yourself? Like, you're on the other side of the city for a reason. You do your own list. So it's just been crazy. And I've got 1,000 new followers. And the thing I'm like in my head about a little bit is like, it's just diluted my strong coaching, training followers, but that's all right. Like, I guess good new followers, who knows? It's a huge top of funnel that might funnel down to some of the courses and mentorships and things that I do offer in the long run. But I just find it so funny, and that was the piece of content that in my journey to posting 10 times a week, that was the one that just went fucking gangbusters, it's been cool. It's been a funny couple of days. But I would highly recommend checking out Bill and Ali's if you are in Melbourne. Amazing pizza shop, and let them know that I sent you. I think that would be fun. But yeah, I will wrap it up there for this episode. I do have a call in a couple of minutes, but if you are interested in the movement mentorship, we kick off next week. First link down below. Would love to see you in there. If you're enjoying the content, if you enjoy these conversations, I can guarantee you will get so much out of the movement mentorship. It will strengthen your coaching outcomes. It will grow your impact. It will grow your value. And more importantly, it will give you confidence that you're on the right path with your understandings and your application. So would love to see you in there. First link down below. Otherwise, I will see you next week in the podcast here, a training model. Thank you very much. Ciao, ciao.